Hey guys, so Lord here, back again with another review, and today we'll be taking a look at the McFarlane Toys Mortal Kombat 11 Commando Spawn. Now before we get into it here, let's first take a look-see at both the front
and the back of the packaging. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now before we get into the meat and taters of this review, Commando Spawn does come with two necroplasm effects, or as I like to call them, booger lightning, because, I don't know, gosh forbid we get some quote-unquote real weapons with good old Commando Spawn here. I mean, seriously, can Warner Bros. Stop being cucks for 5 minutes so the Toddfather can equip his own character, no less, with some guns? I guess not. That said, it would have also been nice to get, I don't know, the sword, the axe, or the mace again, because it's been a while since we've gotten those. That said, the only other accessory we get with this figure is the trademark hockey puck display stand we're used to seeing with all McFarlane Toys figures at this point. So, taking a closer look at Commando Spawn here. Of the three Mortal Kombat spawns I've looked at on this channel, I've got to be honest with you in saying that I'm a bit disappointed with this one, and of the three, he is by far the weakest. The OG, of course, being the best, our regular for size comparisons, of course, and the Malefic spawn being a close second to that, because while I do really like that figure, it was kind of lacking in the paint department. But this guy, while he is not lacking as far as paint apps are concerned, he is a bit loose for my liking, so that kind of drags him down. It's much easier to paint stuff than to tighten it up, I'll say. So, as far as articulation is concerned, speaking of which, his head is on a double ball peg. He can look side to side. He can look up pretty far, considering he has this bandana on. He can look down a little bit, and you do get some tilt side to side. It appears that this bandana is also glued to the front of his face, so taking that off is not an option. But if you do have the OG Mortal Kombat spawn, you could probably swap the heads easily, just heat it up so you don't break the peg or anything like that. That said, this shoulder is crap on mine. It is super loose and floppy, and sometimes it just has a tendency to go whoop and just fall right out of place. So not a fan of that at all. That sucks. That said, the hinges going in and out, barely even detented. On this side, not hardly at all. On this side, it's got a soft ratchet at best. So maybe I just got a stinker figure, but this thing is hella loose, and that really sucks. That said, biceps do rotate there. He's got a double elbow, which is pretty, it's tight enough, I guess, but it is kind of loose compared to the other ones anyways. And he also has the gappy elbow, which is odd because this arm sculpt is very similar to the first spawn, but has a new elbow, so I don't know why they didn't just recycle the first spawn and just slap the new elbow on it. That seems kind of silly, but to each their own, I guess. That said, he does have the ball hinge wrist, so you can, hinge it in and out. This one was a little tight on mine, so I had to heat it up, and in doing so, I popped the wrist hinge apart in the process, so it's kind of loose. Not too loose, but loose enough. And of course, rotates in the top and the bottom there as well. And I will say, while this gauntlet is a more pliable material as compared to the first Spawn's gauntlet, the necroplasm is still kind of a pain in the nuts to get in there because all this stuff is in the way. That said, the torso articulation, however, is improved on this guy. You get a double ball peg in the top, and he can crunch a little bit. Not a ton, but a little bit. Get your tilt, and you get your side to side. You get a lot of that range in the waist. A lot of it, actually. I just pushed that sucker forward some more. I didn't wreck anything. I'm impressed. yeah, he went a little bit more forward, so that's kind of cool. But it can be wobbly, but mine seems to be okay at the moment. As far as the hips are concerned, they can rotate forward and back a little loose than I prefer, but it's fine. And the outward movement is fine. Again, like, no ratchet here. What about this side? This side's a little tighter, but it's got this pouch here, so... yeah, that side's definitely tighter. It's like this whole side on mine is loose. Like the wrist hinge, the shoulder hinge and swivel, the hinge over here and the swivel here. At least compared to this one. He does have a thigh cut that works pretty well, and a pistol permanently molded into a holster, which kind of sucks, because how come we can get this and not a gun for him to hold, you know? That said, I guess it is better than what we got with Rebirth Deathstroke, which is just remnants of what used to be a pouch that I can only assume was cut for one reason or another. So I guess beggars can't be choosers in this case. It said he has a double knee that works okay, and he has an ankle joint, which of course in neutral, actually no, that's fine. I guess it's facing the other way, that it was kind of loosey-goosey, but at any rate, he does have the swivel at the top and the bottom and the toe hinge. And of course this side's got the big boot, which hinders most of the movement, but it is soft this time around, whereas on that first spawn it was not. So you may be able to get more poses out of this guy, but gonna have to finagle with it a bit. He does have the same cape as all the Mortal Kombat spawns do. Even the Shadow of Spawn, who I do not have yet, has this very same cape. So can't give him bonus points for variety, but I will say, despite its shortcomings, I do still like this figure. This is better than a turd Marvel Legends still. It's just that this shoulder is kind of unforgivable. This flat up sucks. This thing is going to need some sort of work done to it so I can enjoy it a little bit more. I'll have to maybe pick up some of that Kiki stuff everyone's talking about and hit it with a couple shots of that. But at any rate, that's Commando Spawn in a nutshell. I'm hoping that Shadow of Spawn, speaking of which, has some tighter joints because, well, this is a bit of a letdown, not gonna lie. But a little bit less of a letdown than the Necromunda or the Marvel Legends Sleepwalker, or even the Atrocitus Collectibuild figure, which, I don't know, unlike the rest of the internet, just not feeling that one. So, with that being said, I guess to solve the gun problem, you could buy one of the McFarlane Toys gun packs. I know there's 2 different ones out now, and that's cool. But unfortunately, I do not have the funds for that right now. So if anything, maybe I'll equip this guy with the guns from the Grim Knight figure, or some of the Fortnite guns I have, which are also McFarlane Toys, so they'll be in scale. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with all of that. But at the end of the day, he should have just come with them, because these are adult collectibles, last I checked. And also, last I checked, most kids don't know who the heck Spawn even is. They're too busy playing Fortnite Roblox, for crying out loud. But before I turn this into an even bigger rant and rave than it already is, let's now move on and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is Commando Spawn alongside another Spawn variant from the Mortal Kombat line, Malefic Spawn, who we got way back about a year ago now. And unlike Commando Spawn, the necroplasm effects actually make sense with this version of the character, since he's supposed to be kind of an evil mage version of Spawn. That said, of the 2, I think Malefic Spawn here is a little bit better of a figure, not only because the accessories make more sense with him, but he also doesn't have the joint looseness that this new Commando Spawn has. That said, we also have a figure from the Spawn Universe line, Haunt, who you could potentially make work with these Mortal Kombat 11 spawns, but I will tell you they do scale a little bit on the short side in comparison to the normal size figures in the Spawn universe line, like Haunt here, or the Soul Crusher, or She-Spawn, or... no, that's really all I got right now, because I think the Redeemers are way too big. That said, if you do have some of the larger characters from the Spawn universe line, I think you could easily fudge these Mortal Kombat 11 spawns with those. And last, but certainly not least, we have our two regulars, the Mythic Legions, Brother Mandibulus, and good old-fashioned 11 Spawn. And for those of you who are nervous for our good friend here, don't be, because while I do love Commando Spawn, don't get it twisted, you can't beat the classics, man. So with that being said, time to wrap things up, some final thoughts. Overall, and aside from the fact that we don't really get any compatible accessories with this figure, I mean, I think we all saw that coming going in. Even though this is Todd's character, it's in a line owned by Warner Brothers, so there's not much you can do about that. And on top of the fact that he has the typical McFarlane looseness issues that we're used to seeing, at least around this time when this figure came out. There were plenty of figures coming out around this time that also had those issues as well. I gotta tell you, I'm fairly let down by good old Commando Spawn here, which is sad because I am a huge Spawn fan. One of my top 3 favorite things, along with Ghost Rider and Gargoyles specifically. That said, I think this figure just falls short compared to his predecessors, the Malefic Spawn and the good old-fashioned Mortal Kombat 11 Spawn. So with that being said, if you are a casual Spawn collector, maybe try and get one of the first Mortal Kombat Spawns, or maybe even that new Shadow of Spawn. I've heard good things about that figure. I don't think it's quite as loose as this one. Or if you want something a little bit more interesting, go for the Malefic Spawn, because aside from lacking a coat of paint here and there, that's a really solid figure. Definitely not as loose as this one. But if you are a Spawn completist, quote-unquote completist, like myself, or just a huge Spawn fan, also like myself, then this is a definite must-have, even though it does fall a little bit short. And I actually neglected to mention that the other Necroplasm effect is very difficult to get in his right hand due to the gauntlet. Even though it's soft plastic, I would have rather it just been, I don't know, a stiffer plastic, and we got, again, maybe the sword or an axe or some real weapons with this guy. They didn't have to be guns, even though that would have been very much preferred, but I would have gladly taken the sword, because a lot of people do not have the Mortal Kombat 11 Spawn sword. It's kind of a rare piece, unless you want it with some blood stains or some alternate colors on it, I suppose. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you are so inclined, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know whenever I upload more reviews like this one. But if you haven't already, please hit me up on Instagram at Overlord Productions. But as always, keep the comments civil. The world sucks enough as it is, especially when, do I have to say it? Spawn is owned by Todd McFarlane, but Todd McFarlane can't do what he wants with Spawn because Warner Bros. Owns Mortal Kombat. But yet, we got brain shish kebabs with Baraka figures. Hello! So with that being said, until next time, I'll catch you guys later.